Right, here we go. Day 20 of my 30-day camera challenge. After this, only 10 more videos to go. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so over it. And also, it's worth mentioning, after this 20th video, the rest of the video will be much more shorter because I'll be spending more time on video editing. So expect the content to be a lot shorter than usual. I'm aiming for like 5 minutes of content, but once you cut that all out and make it into a really nice, succinct video, I'm sure it will be more like 3 to 4 minutes. But let's see how the cookie crumbles, hey? So, the topic for today is a very interesting one. It's what do you think the future is going to look like in 10 years? Now, I don't have a script for this, but I do have some bullet points. I'm just going to go through them one by one. It's not necessarily what I think the future is going to look like in 10 years. Some of the key important issues or themes or concepts that I think it will definitely come up within this 10 years that will dictate the way our future would look in 10 years. So let's get straight into it. So the first one, and I think it's pretty obvious, is climate change. I personally think that we are currently witnessing and experiencing the effect of climate change as of now. The fact that there are more cyclones, hurricanes, more bushfires, sand erosions, and all those kind of things. And you can see the North Pole and the South Pole losing a lot of ice caps, melting, all those kind of things will only get worse in 10 years' time. And the world moves pretty slowly. You may have seen that in the latest Paris Agreement or whatever that was, no nations were willing to get completely rid of our fossil fuel usage. And a lot of the developing nations will continue to use fossil fuel to fund their development growth. So I don't see the rate of our fossil fuel usage going down sharp enough for us to completely change the trajectory of our climate change future. I believe that we are going to see climate disasters more frequently and at a more devastating effect. I fear for the people who live in those areas, those affected areas, especially with the insurance cost that they'll have to fork out to make that happen. I don't think the houses and the infrastructures that we have laid out so far is equipped to withstand any of these big natural disasters at this frequency. Now, the second point that I have, and this is also a biggie, is corporation versus people. Maybe I am looking at the news and the news is always telling us about the negative stuff all the time. But I personally think unless government do something about these big, huge mega corporations that is not really paying tax, but also who has a lot of money on their side, technology companies come into mind. If they don't do anything about it or they don't split them up, corporate lobbying will be so strong. Their agenda will be more important than the overall societies. Government will be more reluctant to pass laws and bills that would favor the people. And I think there has been some examples currently. I think they'll only get worse over time. Another one is the disappearance of the middle class. The strength and the number of the middle class that exist in Australia is the reason why Australia is one of the best countries to live. The middle class has been a very integral part of our society and it makes the economy flow. I don't think the government is doing enough to protect the health of the middle class. Our wage hasn't been increasing in accordance with the inflation, whilst our corporation profit has been only going up. The middle class is being squeezed out, and they're either being put into the bottom tier or the higher tier for whatever reason. Another point that is worth mentioning is technology paradigm shift, more favoring towards profit and for the wealthy. As these big companies make more money, they put more money into research and development, and they create all these new technologies and new science discoveries. That level of technology will only be reserved for the rich people and the wealthy, the corporation. Maybe down the track, the technology and science become so advanced that we actually see a human difference. So some sort of augmentation, or they have been genetically altered to become like one of those designer babies or something like that. And you can also imagine like if eternal youth or some advanced medical discoveries has been made, and that is extremely expensive, then you can see that it already favors the rich and the companies. If they can't beat them, the masses will most likely to join them. And you can kind of see the power imbalance that could happen in the future. Another point that I think is worth mentioning is lower birth rate of the developed countries and the brain drain or the resource strain for the developed. We are already seeing this happening as we speak. Back in the day, only one person could earn an income and they could afford the house and the basic necessities and whatnot. But now, especially in Sydney, you really need like the whole family to work. As we also favor career over family, our kids per capita will drop and it will leave this huge demand for services that you need people to be filled in. The only way a developed nation could tackle that is through opening up immigration and poaching high quality workers from overseas. And I think we're already seeing that happening now, but I think in 10 years it will be even worse. Each developed nation, whether it's the US, Canada, whatever, Australia, whatever that might be, they will be competing with each other to entice workers to work for their country to keep their citizens ways of life. Another one is a economic shift. And what I mean by that is, with technology advancements and scientific advancements, AI, automation, and robotics and whatnot, because these technologies aren't directed towards the betterment of society, but actually it's been geared towards maximizing profit. All these relatively simple routine work, whether it's taxis or logistics, fast food workers, and other food industries and whatnot, those kind of roles will definitely get automated, and all these people will be displaced and they won't be able to find enough jobs for them to actually make a decent living unless the technology has been shifted towards something else or they introduce universal basic income. But you can't expect people who has a mortgage, has bills to pay, to suddenly get fired and enroll in a new course, computer programming or whatever, just to drop everything that they have and learn something, go back to university or some sort of TAFE course, and to start from beginning. They, even if they do get the qualification, they'll have to start from day one, and you're competing with much younger or people who have a lot more youth behind their back with less responsibilities. Like, you can't compete with that. So there's got to be a way for a government to somehow control that or provide support for those people who need it. And finally, I think there will be a very shocking refugee or migrant crisis. And I think that's already happening in Europe as we speak. Remember, if the technology is only reserved for the rich and the big corporations, what are the chances of those third world countries or countries with lower economic activities going to have access to those technology? Probably not. That distance will only get bigger as the time goes. That's what I think. As life gets harder in those countries and corporations exploit these countries, and standard of living is poor, and government perhaps they lack funds and mismanaged and there's corruption, there will be more political upheavals, there will be some conflicts. Those people will get displaced and they'll start to move north, or in Australia's case, south, to move away from those conflicts or those economic disadvantages, try to set their foot into a much developed nation. Places like America, places like Europe, places like Australia. And rightfully so. Everyone wants a better life, a better opportunity for themselves as well as their kids. It'll be very interesting to see what the developed nations do to these influx of migrants. Now, I just realized all the points that I've said earlier, very negative. And I am not a negative person, okay? Maybe I'll do another video of like the same topic, but more positive, because it just feels like so negative, right? I think there are some positive things, and I'll come back to you on that one, okay? That's it for today, and I'll catch you on the next one. Catch you later. Bye.